Welcome to Create More Intimacy, a podcast for men. I'm Elisa Stoddard, and I help successful men stop chasing sex and start building real connection so they finally feel close, connected, and wanted again. The holidays have a way of bringing out some of the same patterns we live with all year long. You probably notice it too, the tension, the disconnect, the pressure to make everything perfect. And even when you try to help, it doesn't seem to land. In this episode, we're going to talk about why that happens, why helping out isn't the same as showing up. I'll show you what it actually looks like to be a partner instead of just a participant, and how to ease the pressure she feels without losing yourself in the process, and how to start feeling closer again, not just during the holidays, but all year long. Because what you do right now in this season teaches you exactly how to show up in your marriage in every other season too. Welcome to episode 29, Stop Helping Out and Start Showing Up. You probably think you're doing your part. You help with the kids and you take out the trash and you unload the dishwasher when it's full. Maybe you even run an errand or two when she forgets something. And let's not forget that you're bringing in the paycheck. And yet somehow she seems irritated still. The holidays roll around and she is on edge. You're trying to stay out of her way to be helpful, but no matter what you do, it doesn't seem to make a difference. So you just tell yourself, hey, maybe she's stressed and that she'll calm down once everything's done. But deep down, maybe you're wondering, what am I missing here? It's mid-December, and she's juggling 1,000 invisible details like teacher gifts and travel plans, cards, wrapping, making sure your kids have matching pajamas and the house looks festive. You've noticed she's tense, and you offer to help, and you say, what do you need me to do? And if you're honest, you're bracing yourself a little, because no matter what you do, it never seems quite right. You'd wrap the gifts, and she would redo the bow. You unload the dishwasher, and she reloads it. You take care of something, and somehow she's still bugged. So you hang back, and you wait for clear directions, thinking that'll make things easier. But it doesn't. Because when you are just checking boxes, you're not partnering with her. You're managing tasks, and she can feel that. She is still the one keeping the list and holding every moving part in her mind. Even when you take something off of her plate, she has to make sure you know what's on it and when it's due and what could go wrong along the way. She is still the project manager of your shared life, and that's exhausting. If you really want to be a partner, you can't just take a task. You actually have to take ownership, and that means doing it all the way through, all the way to completion, not stopping the moment you hit a roadblock. If the gift is out of stock or the flight time changes or the recipe's confusing, man, just figure it out. You have got a powerful computer in your phone in your pocket that can teach you how to do just about anything. Go look it up on TikTok. You don't need to hand the problem back to her with, hey, what do I do now? Because that's what keeps her load heavy. She can't relax when she knows every task could boomerang back to her. The goal is not helping her out. The goal is to create space so she isn't the only one holding the mental weight of making this holiday season and your life run smoothly. That doesn't always mean that you need to go buying gifts or tackling chores. It could mean that you notice when something's missing and step in. Perhaps you plan a night with the kids so that she can breathe, or make dinner, or handle the lights without being asked, or coordinate your side of the family's plans. Those things say, I see what needs to be done, and I've got this. When you show up like that, you're no longer a guest pitching in. You are a partner creating connection and creating the holiday magic. And that difference changes everything. The holidays just make all of this louder, but really, this is about how you should show up all year long. Let's go a little deeper into why this dynamic feels so familiar and so frustrating for both of you. When you help out, you focus on what needs to get done. But what she feels, or she doesn't feel, has very little to do with the task itself. I worked with a client last year who was in this exact spot, and he told me, Elisa, I don't even get it. I'm doing more than I ever have. I cook, I drive the kids, I clean up, but it feels like she is mad all the time. When I asked him how he decided what to do, he said, well, I just ask her. I say, what do you need from me? And he thought that that was considerate. But here's the twist. Every time he asked that question, he reminded her that she was the only one tracking what needed to happen. Now, he wasn't doing this maliciously. He was just on the outside looking in, and he was waiting for her to hand him a list so he could earn her approval. And every time he did, she felt a little bit more alone. That's the invisible part of this. When you operate from a tell me what to do mindset, she becomes the manager, not the teammate. And managing you keeps her in a state of low-grade stress. Even if you are checking the boxes, you are still creating work, decision work, oversight work. It's called emotional labor. And she doesn't want an assistant. She actually wants a partner who stands beside her, sees what she sees, and cares enough to move without being told. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Most men fall into this pattern, and I know it's not because they're lazy. They do lots around the house, and they help out in lots of ways. But it's really because they're scared. They're scared they'll do it wrong, and then they'll be criticized, and that their effort won't count. So they hang back, and they think, well, at least if I wait for her to tell me, then I can't mess it up. But the more they wait, the more disconnected they feel. Because it's impossible to build intimacy from a defensive posture. The truth is, showing up means you are willing to take the lead even if you don't have perfect instructions. It's about risk, the emotional risk of trying, of possibly not getting it exactly right, of being seen. And that's where real connection begins. When you step in with awareness, when you notice instead of wait around, you stop performing tasks and you start creating safety. Safety that tells her, hey, I've got this, you can rest. And when a woman feels safe, she relaxes, she softens, and she can meet you emotionally instead of managing you mentally. That's the difference between a marriage that runs on logistics and one that runs on connection. And it starts small, especially right now. You do not need to overhaul everything this season. Just start noticing the patterns. When you notice that you default to helping instead of owning, notice that. When you notice that you ask for a list instead of looking around and choosing something that matters and taking control of it, that matters. Because the shift you make here, moving from compliance to presence, doesn't just change how November and December go. It changes everything about how she experiences you the other months of the year. Here's the truth that most men don't realize. You cannot earn connection by getting everything done. You can finish the list and hang the lights and buy the gifts and still, at the end of the night, feel unseen. Because connection doesn't come from completion, it comes from your presence. Presence says, I'm here. I see what matters to you. And I care enough to be in this with you, even if it doesn't really matter to me. When you move from helping to showing up, you stop chasing her approval and you start offering your presence as stability. And that's the thing she's craving, even if she can't always put it into words. Let me explain it to you this way. Helping is reactive and showing up is responsive. Helping waits for her to give you directions. Showing up notices and acts. Helping keeps score, the I did my part. Showing up takes ownership. This is our life, our home, our families, and our holiday magic. When you start showing up, you don't do things to avoid her frustration. You do them because that is how you want to show up as a partner. You don't need gold stars, and you're not walking on eggshells. You're grounded. And that groundedness changes everything. When you show up from that place, she feels something is different. She doesn't just see that you're doing the dishes. She feels your steadiness. She feels that you're in it with her, not tiptoeing around her. That energy, your calm, engaged presence, creates emotional safety. And here's the part that most men underestimate. Safety is sexy. When she trusts that you'll follow through, when she doesn't have to double check or carry the mental weight for both of you, she can finally relax. And when her guard comes down, maybe her tone will soften and maybe her desire to connect with you will return. It's not magic. When she no longer has to manage you, she can finally connect with you. But this isn't just about her. Showing up changes you too. You stop living like a problem to solve and start living like a man with a purpose. And you begin to feel proud of how you lead, not because you're controlling things, but because you're contributing to the emotional tone of your shared home. That's leadership, that's partnership, and that is how intimacy has any chance of growing. And here's what's beautiful about this shift. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to be intentional. When you take ownership, when you stay engaged, even when it's inconvenient, you send a powerful message, one that says, I'm not leaving you alone in this. And that's what she's been longing to feel for a long time. So, yes, this is about the holidays, but it's also about every other ordinary Tuesday that comes after. Because when you stop helping out and start showing up, you stop running your marriage on performance and you start building it on partnership. So how do you actually do this? I can hear you. You all are saying, well, what do I do then? So if you really want to start showing up instead of just helping out, let me make it as simple as possible. Start where you are, not where you think you should be. This isn't about doing everything. It's about doing something that matters and doing it all the way through completion. So first, choose one area to own. It could be a piece of the holiday logistics, like the travel plans or the lights on the house or a dinner or your side of the family's gathering or gift giving. Whatever it is, take full responsibility from start to finish. Don't wait for reminders from her or your sister or your mom or any other woman in this equation here. Don't hand it back when you hit a snag either. You have to follow it through like it's yours, because it is. That's what partnership looks like. It's not about making her proud of how much you can handle. It's about giving her the relief of not having to carry it at all. Second, tune in to what actually connects you to your family, not just what checks boxes. If you have kids, start right now listening to what they're talking about, what they care about, what is catching their attention. What are they looking at online? What are their friends into? If you've got older kids, what would make their lives easier right now? Take those clues and create a little gift guide of your own. Jot down the ideas and then share them with your wife. Now, even if she doesn't use them at all, she'll see something in you that's been missing. A man who's present, who's paying attention, who knows his kids, and wants to be part of the magical experience the holidays bring. Not just a man who's a bystander as the presents she bought get opened in front of him. That one change, it shows initiative and curiosity, and it builds connection in ways most men overlook. It's not about checking boxes, guys. It's about engaging with the people that you love. Third, remember that this shift isn't about perfection. It's about intention. When you take ownership and stay engaged instead of waiting for direction, you can change the emotional tone of your home. You become a man who brings steadiness instead of stress, a man who moves with purpose instead of adding to the pressure. That's how trust starts to rebuild and how connection grows. It's not through a grand gesture, but through small, consistent proof that you see what matters and that you're in it too. It'll probably surprise her, and in the best way. Because when she sees you showing up differently, she won't just feel supported, she'll feel closer to you. She'll see a partner she can rely on. And you can feel something too, pride and calm that comes from that deep sense of belonging that only comes from knowing you are showing up as the man you really want to be. If you are hearing yourself in this and realizing that this isn't just about the holidays, that it's actually the same pattern showing up in your marriage, then now's the time to shift it. Because this isn't really about chores or errands or who's in charge of what. It's about how you show up, how you bring presence instead of adding to the pressure, leadership instead of withdrawal, steadiness instead of silence. And that shift doesn't just change your relationship, it changes how you feel about yourself. It quiets that constant question of, am I enough? Because you'll know you're showing up in a way that actually creates connection. That's the work I do with my clients. We take what feels heavy and confusing or disconnected, and we rebuild it from the inside out. You'll learn how to stop reacting and start leading with calm confidence and create the kind of intimacy that lasts. So if you're ready to stop helping out and start showing up for your wife, for your family, and for yourself, I'd love to help you do that. You can book a call with me at elisastoddard.com, or there will be a link in the show notes. Bring what's been the hardest for you to handle. You do not have to figure this out alone. And they'll show you what's possible when you start showing up differently, because it really does change everything. Take care. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode hit home, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more men find the support they need. And if you are ready to get help or take the next step, you'll find the link to book a free call in the show notes. I'll see you next time.